Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today, we will be reading from Malicious Compliance. Our first post is by Lulu Gingerspice. I need a doctor's note to work from home for more than 2 days while I have an unidentified, presumably contagious illness, if you insist. It is a tale as old as capitalism, my job, which, to be fair, I freaking adore working at, and I am so grateful for and happy at, requires a doctor's note because I have been sick and working from home for 2 days. Now, I haven't just had a minor cold or flu. Several days ago, I came down with the worst cold/flu symptoms you can imagine, and then things started going downhill from there. It got to a point where I have now been to the ER 2 days in a row because of tonsillitis and excruciating pain brought on by swallowing tiny sips of water. It is not great, and despite a whole battery of swabs and tests, the doctors don't know what the underlying bacteria or virus causing these symptoms is. Obviously, there's no way in heck I want to infect my coworkers with this plague, so I told HR that I will be working from home until I am feeling better. Since my job can be done 100% remotely, it hit me back with the ever-famous, if you need to work from home for more than 2 days in a week, you will need a doctor's note since it's against policy. My first instinct was just to go to work looking, sounding, and feeling like death warmed up. But A, I don't want to infect my colleagues, and B, I legitimately believe that I would pass out on my walk to work and would have to be taken to the hospital yet again. Instead, I spoke to the ER doctor earlier this evening, my second visit in as many days. I asked him how long he thought I should stay away from work, or work from home, and then told him I needed a note so I can stay home. He had a brief flash of vaguely furious what the heck cross his face at the idea that my job would force someone as sick as I am to come in and risk the health of those around me, then assured me he would write the note. I was thinking it would just be a basic Lulu Gingerspice should continue to work from home until the end of the week. Nah, he came for me. He wrote a note saying that I should be off work for a minimum of another week, then added the piece de resistance as his last line. Infectious disease requires more time than 2 days to improve. Our next post is by Zoroastrian. I convinced my teacher to let me leave class 2 hours early by doing basically nothing. For context, I am attending a trade school right now. The school only enrolls you in one class at a time, and each class lasts 3 weeks. The classes are Monday to Friday, and they are 3 hours long, 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The last 2 days of each rotation are exam days, and on those days the teacher will usually let you leave as soon as you finish your exams. I am currently just over halfway done with school, and I have perfect attendance. I could leave class early without permission, but I would have to take an infraction, which would ruin my perfect attendance. So yesterday, we were doing the online final and the written final and quiz retakes. I finished everything after about an hour, turned my papers in and asked, "So, am I good to go?" The teacher, who we'll call Mr. D, said, "No, you will need to stay until 12:30. Cue malicious compliance. I decided that instead of absent-mindedly scrolling Reddit for 2 hours, I would mess with the teacher and hopefully make him regret keeping me there for no reason. This particular classroom is set up with 2 long tables for the students to sit at, with the teacher's desk at the end of one of the long tables. I went back to my seat, pulled my chair out, and faced it towards him. I sat down, folding my hands over my lap, and just stared at him. I even tried on a subtle, creepy smile. I grew up with strict parents, so I knew that I could easily have kept that up for 2 hours if I wanted to. He glanced my way a few times. He started to look uncomfortable. After just 10 minutes, he finally said, "Oh my God, are you done with everything? Your labs, homework, everything?" "Yes, sir." "Okay, fine. goodbye, just go home, jeez. I went home and thoroughly enjoyed my victory nap. Our next post is by Different Scholar. Change the salary system after start date? More than happy to comply. Here is a little story about a summer job I did a while ago that you might enjoy. This happened a few years back. It was during summer break and I was back home from university, looking for something to do to keep me busy and to earn some cash. I stumbled upon an ad for a local music festival needing help managing their concerts, mostly checking in visitors and also working as a driver. I reached out, said I would be interested, and tell them my hourly fee, which I earned from my last job. They answered back rather quickly and told me to start ASAP. Since they didn't argue with me about my proposed hourly rate, I gathered that they accepted it. Well, a few days after I started working for them, one of the bosses approached me and they said they don't exactly do the hourly rate, but rather pay a fixed price for a day you worked for them. At first, I was a bit annoyed since it would have been much less than I initially thought I would earn, but then I realized I can just use their own system against them. Want me to go around and hand out flyers to people for 30 minutes? Yep, this will be noted as a whole day. Want me to go collect additional chairs and bring them to the venue for 20 minutes? Yep, another day added. You get my system by now? That sweet moment after the whole gig, I handed my registered days calculation to the boss. She looked at it. Her eyes turned wide and you could see her thought process on her face calculating. I simply grinned while she realized that her system absolutely backfired with me and they played themselves. I ended up earning more money than they would have paid me with the hourly system I proposed. 1 week later, I had the money in my bank account. Weirdly enough, I never heard back. Would have loved to work with them again. Our next post is by Tennessee Accountant. Think we're equals? Okay then. This is a true story that involves 3 people. I, 27M, am the CFO of a smallish company. Charlotte, 50F, is the administrative assistant, and Tom, 68M, is the CEO. I served as the assistant CFO for a few years, where Charlotte and I both reported directly to the CFO. I was somehow at the bottom of the totem pole between Charlotte, the CFO, and myself. Despite my title and pay, I received the work no one wanted to do. I went with it because I knew one day I'd be her boss. That day eventually came a few months back, and things have only gotten worse. Charlotte has always considered herself a financial expert, despite not knowing the bare minimum of accounting. When time came for us to create our official organizational structure chart showing who reports to who, Tom asked Charlotte with it, as things here are very straightforward. When I get the final chart, I am outraged to see that I am below Tom instead of it being just myself. I see she has included her name as well. This was already approved by Tom and officially published. The audacity this woman had to think that an administrative assistant is the same ranking of the CFO was baffling. But she also brown noses Tom, so I am not surprised his decrepit self approved of it. Now comes the good part. I mentioned this chart to several groups we work with and couldn't believe it. They are all aware of her incompetence and all want her gone as she affects their business. I decide that if I am not her supervisor, then I don't need to check any of the work she does. I let this go for a few months, and as much as it kills me, I leave all of her mistakes. Finally, the auditors came. They find numerous mistakes, causing all of our public financial data to be incorrect. At first, they came to me wondering how it could be so inaccurate. I then gave them the system data showing that it was Charlotte who made all of the mistakes. They continued to push through, as in previous years the responsibility fell on the CFO. I then reminded them of our organizational structure chart, showing that I was no longer in charge of what the administrative assistant did. They were upset, but one of the younger guys loved what I did. The auditors then strongly suggested that we fire Charlotte, or they'd have to issue their report stating things were severely misstated. She was finally fired last week, and Tom was issued a significant fine for being the supervisor responsible. I hope they all learned their lesson and I can hire a competent assistant now. Our next post is by Akodo. Great Arby's run of 2005. This was years ago, not exactly sure what year. Location, Twin Cities, Minnesota. Arby's had a promotion where if you got a $10 gift card, you got a free basic combo meal, large roast beef or beef and cheddar, medium soft drink, medium fry. Back at this time, that would likely have been a $3.99 meal. Immediately, I saw an opportunity. I asked when the gift card expired. Answer, never. And asked if there were any restrictions on what could be purchased with the gift card. Answer, none. So, I got a gift card and a combo meal. Then I hightailed it back to the house I was living in with a pile of other college guys. Filled my car up, filled up another car, walked in and said, I would like to purchase a $10 gift card. I'll do the large roast beef, Coke, curly fries, horsey sauce, and Arby's sauce. Paid for the gift card with the gift card. Hand the new gift card to the guy behind me. He did the same thing. At this point, one of the other guys walked over to the other register and pulled out cash for a gift card and started the process going. Eventually, the last person in our line handed me back a gift card. We ate in the restaurant and then said, well, I'm getting ready for a midnight snack, and got back in line, and everyone followed. We all got a second meal and got back in the car and left. To be fair, back in the day, I could have eaten 4 roast beefs. A single without upsizing the fries was kind of paltry. The cashier didn't care. He was just doing as instructed. Heck, for all I know, he was probably encouraged to push the gift card deal. Lots of times, the counter staff do get instructed to do that kind of thing. We did it a second time, but the third time, the manager said the terms on the card have some prohibitions, which includes buying gift cards. That's okay. We probably got 30 meals for free and just had to use the gift card for actual food.